Good evening and welcome to New York City Atheists live on tape, brought to you by New York City Atheists. I'm your host, Dennis Horvitz, the David Letterman of the Hopelessly Damned. Tonight, our subject is, well, if you were to ask me, and you haven't, but I'm going to tell you anyway, I would call this the title of the show, Superstition in the Military, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. Tonight's topic is about getting religious coercion out of the armed forces. Our guest this evening is Jason Torpy, who gave up a promising military career and went civilian despite his West Point education, despite his 10 years in the United States Army, and despite his strong patriotism. He now works for a top civilian firm in information technology and is still a biting flea in the military's back. How does one go about being a biting flea in the U.S. military's back? Well, here's a good way. By being president of the Military Association of Atheists and Free Thinkers, MAAF, or MAF, as we like to call him. And one of his foremost missions in life is to achieve equality for atheists and free thinkers in the U.S. military. He points out that there are probably more atheists in the U.S. military than they are willing to acknowledge, and despite the fact that the trite saying that there are no atheists in foxholes, the problem is that the military pretends that atheists don't exist. And he's going to give us various examples of what actually goes on in military installations, such as broadcasting prayer on United States naval ships, which sounds kind of Talibanish to me. I wonder how they would feel if they were broadcasting Muslim prayers or whatever. These and other patently illegal and unconstitutional tactics will be discussed tonight. And Jason will tell us what the Military Association of Atheists and Free Thinkers are doing about it. And this is clearly a violation of the letter, and I use the term loosely, the spirit of the U.S. Constitution. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jason Torpy.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having me today. My name is Jason Torpy again, as the Military Association of Atheists and Free Thinkers. Happy to be here today to tell you a little bit about what's going on in your military, what your service members, the sons and daughters of America, are putting up with in the military. I'd also like to say thank you to Ken Bronstein for having this excellent event here and having me here to be here. I'd also like to appreciate the fact that it's in this particular location. I only live like 2 blocks away, so it was a short commute for me. All those that had to travel far away, thanks for that sacrifice. I'd also like to thank New York City Atheists for the blog. I do guest blog. It's not about military issues, it's about the joys of atheism. It's about how great it is to be free of religious dogma. It's a great time. Nobody ever comments on my blog. It's okay, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's really not a big deal at all. But to the extent that you're interested, there is a blog for New York City Atheists. I'm on there, so feel free to check it out. And I'd also like to thank our friends in the media. Raise your hand if you're in the media. Okay? All right. We do have the media here today, so thank you very much. And before I get to that, who served in the military? All right. We have people in the audience. Appreciate that. Thank you for your service. I just wanted to point out that there are atheists in foxholes. We're here. So, to get back to the media, I do appreciate the media for setting me up very well. 2 stories yesterday. June the 25th. Today's June the 26th. 2 of them, just to introduce me, I'm sure, for my personal benefit and for the benefit of everyone here today. The first was religion and its role in dispute. In dispute, that is, at the academies. Second was a rebroadcast, promotion of rebroadcast of statements that were made for a 4th of July celebration at 4th of July celebration by an officer in uniform, statements promoting Christianity. And these are going to be rebroadcast, that's the intention, to rebroadcast these comments at a 4th of July ceremony in a few days. All right, and this being objected to by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, a partner organization of ours. And obviously the reason is because having an officer state that, promote Christianity at these events and try to associate religion with patriotism is totally unacceptable, unconstitutional, and certainly contrary to the service that I've put forward in the service of all the non-theists within the military. This is just one more attempt to associate religion and patriotism. Things like having under God in the pledge. Put in 50 years ago, they say it's tradition. It was only 50 years ago that the Knights of Columbus used McCarthyism and the scare of communism to insert these words into the pledge and try to defend us against the boogeyman. The same thing happened with In God We Trust on Our Money. Same thing during McCarthyism, inserted in to try to associate religion and patriotism for some odd reason that I can't understand. And more recently, trying to put forth America the Beautiful as a new national anthem, purely because it has references to religion. These things associating religion and patriotism is contrary to my service and the service of those others in here and other atheists within the military. The second story, breaking just yesterday, none of these are news, but they certainly broke yesterday and have put a new spotlight, so thanks for the media for putting this spotlight, is about evangelism at the Service Academy. This is near and dear to my heart. 1996 to 2000, 4 years at the Service Academy I spent, and I'm still a member of the Long Gray Line at West Point. So it's very important to me that these service academies reflect my own opinions, and that those that follow after me, the other non-theists there at the Service Academy, continue to be able to serve openly and freely there. Brigadier General Caslin, the former commandant of the academy, he is put forward as promoting Christianity, promoting religion from his position as commandant of the academy. Brigadier General Caslin, the commandant of the United States Military Academy, is the current president of the Officer Christian Fellowship. The Officer Christian Fellowship exists. Its pure mission, this organization, is to promote religion and promote a Bible-centered view for fundamentalist Christianity within the military, using the military to spread Christianity. Now, this is something certainly that's contrary to military values and an abuse of the service of service members for their own purposes. And yet, at the same time, someone can serve as a general in the military, an active officer, and still serve as president of this organization. These are the kind of things that go on every day, and these are the kind of things that the media points out occasionally. So hopefully, as we go forward, organizations like the Military Religious Freedom Foundation and the ACLU will be able to have change and reform within the military for these issues. Now, the last thing, the other academy that we haven't mentioned, aside from the U.S. Military Academy, then there's the Air Force Academy 3 years ago. There was a lot of focus put on that 3 years ago, and now the Naval Academy. The ACLU has put forward a suit due to complaints by cadets about prayer at meals. You go to a meal, you have an event, you sit down, you hear some announcements about what's going on at the Naval Academy, and you have to sit through a prayer. These are all, this is official, announced through the loudspeaker at meals, which are not really optional. You have to be there, and you just have to sit through a prayer. Totally not military focused, not part of the mission, just because someone who's in power felt like doing it, and they have for a long period of time, and people are just not going to put up with it anymore. And we appreciate our friends at the ACLU bringing forth this suit. That was the second position here. Now, I want to point out that this is not, one might ask, hey, how are these things going on? What's being done? What's the reprimand for this general that's standing up in uniform, pushing a Christian agenda and associating religion and patriotism? What's been done by the general at West Point that's standing up, pushing his personal religious views on the Corps of Cadets and serving openly on an organization dedicated to pushing religion through the military? Well, they get promoted. The 2-star general, now a 3-star general. The 1-star general, General Caslin, he's now the 2-star general, taking over a division. I guess this is the evangelist promotion. No, not everybody gets thrown out. Another recent story this month was about coins that were being handed out at a checkpoint in Iraq. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, there's a war going on. The United States went into Iraq for reasons. Now, these reasons are in dispute. But when you have a uniformed soldier representing the country representing the nation that invaded your country with a gun at a checkpoint, handing you a coin that promotes Christianity, what's your assumption? Was it oil? Was it to help out? Maybe it was to push Christianity, which is certainly not the dominant religion in the region. All right, now this coin, it wasn't ambiguous. It said on one side, where will you spend eternity? On the other side, it had one of the core recruiting slogans of Christianity, John 3:16, and he gave up whatever. I don't spend a lot of time remembering these things. Now this is the core recruiting slogan on a coin handed out by a uniformed, armed soldier in Iraq. You've got guns pushing Christianity. U.S. guns pushing Christianity. This is unacceptable. Now, I do have to appreciate the military, and this soldier was removed from duty. I'm not sure if he went to jail. I'm not sure if he was reprimanded or demoted. There's a lot of things that the military can do. Not exactly clear what happened. Maybe he was just pulled off the checkpoint for that day. I'm not sure. But at least he hasn't got his evangelist promotion yet. So those are a few of the stories in the news just this month that are going on, that the media has highlighted, that have been going on for a long period of time, continue to go on, and hopefully we can change the tide. Now, what I'm talking a little bit here is, we talked about the media. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my personal experiences as well. I'm also going to talk about what MAF is doing to fight for the freedoms we defend. That is the MAF motto, fighting for the freedoms we defend, because, that would be kind of nice if we had those as well, to serve according to our conscience in the military. I'd also like to put some specific issues that we have. With this military promotion of religion, it's almost like a condition for employment to be Christian within the military. You can't just be atheist and have it be okay. Have one thing considered to be acceptable. Also, the difference between regulation and practice. We've all seen the Constitution. We've all seen regulations, equal opportunity employment, regardless of creed. But the practice when they're in the military is so different than the regulations. That's where the issue comes in, and we have to ask, why is it so different? What's being done about it, and what is the military pushing? That's what we have to continue to ask all of you through the media, through lobbying organizations, through advocacy organizations, to try and get this reform within the military so that these things stop happening. Now I've got a story of my own to tell as well. My story isn't particularly special. I've had a variety of experiences that are shared by other service members. You see how a non-theist, by these stories, you'll see how a non-theist might feel out of place, forced to hide his or her own personal beliefs. Felt consistent pressure to hide my beliefs and even to participate in religion to keep up appearances in order to succeed in my career. That's that condition of employment. It's almost like a religious test for public office, which is apparently unconstitutional. I swore to defend the Constitution, and again, hoping to get those freedoms. Within the first few days in the military, recruits are given identification tags, dog tags. The lines of the ID tags are first name, last name, social security number, blood type. These all seem to make sense. Identify the person, especially if they're dead. Identify the person, maybe get them some blood to keep them alive. But there's a fifth line, religion. Now, apparently the religion line is to help presiding chaplains to give last rites. If someone's dying, they're Catholic, it goes this way, and a Christian, maybe this way. All right, now I appreciate that. That seems reasonable. It seems like that could be maybe an extra tag. They put extra tags there if someone has allergies. It's a red tag. They can put another tag. Maybe have a little cross on it, say Catholic. That could be an extra one. But I joined the military. I've been in 3 days. Everything's scary. Everything's different. My life is controlled. It's not my own anymore. I volunteer for the military. Options become a different thing. And I'm sitting being asked point blank, what's your religion? It's not what you like to answer. Is this something you would be interested in telling me about? It's what's your religion? And I know what the acceptable answers are. I've seen the news. I've heard about the military. I've seen public life. I know what the acceptable answers are, and it's not atheist. It's not agnostic. I might even tone it down a bit and say humanist. All right? Maybe they might not know exactly what I meant. All right, but I know what the acceptable answers are. Christian, Jewish, Muslim. Those are what the chaplains are. There aren't any atheist chaplains, humanist chaplains. They aren't considered that okay. So I'm sitting there being for. And I know that tag is going to be around my neck, on my records, for my entire career. All right? Everybody, every assignment, every promotion, somebody's going to look at that record before they do it. and decide, well, maybe that's going to be okay, maybe it's not. And that perception from the chain of command of all these events that go on really influence my decision and make it impossible for me to just be open and honest about what I believe when I'm sitting in that chair 3 days into the military, 18 years old. Happens every day. Now, just a few days later, I stood in the sun on Sunday morning being asked again, because Sunday's when people go to church, being asked again in a formation when everybody came out by the scariest man alive is asking me. He's got a round brown hat. He's a drill sergeant. And whatever I do, I don't want him to even look at me, even be in the vicinity of me. All right? And this man is asking a group of people. He says, Catholics over here, Protestants over here, Jews in the back. All right, and then there's the rest of us. You want to go in one of those groups because they're kind of a little bit larger, and it's apparently okay to go to one of those groups. Stay in place is a little bit more of a problem. There are some auxiliary groups, maybe the Buddhists, the Hindus. There was a Mormon group. But they're obviously less acceptable than these larger groups, these ones that are pointed out in front. And I know what's waiting for me in those groups. Fun, food, maybe some sleep. There are clear benefits to just try it out. Just try out some religion. Just fake it. You don't really even need to go. You don't have to participate. Just participate. Just be in the area. All right, the alternative, the best alternative that I could have to not go is to stare at a blank wall and maybe shine my shoes. All right, and a more likely alternative is work instead of going to church. Is this really an option? It didn't seem like an option at the time. Certainly it doesn't. It happens every Sunday. Sometimes on Wednesday night. All the time. Throughout the military. Now, this passive marketing of religion, by providing rewards to those that give religion a try, happens at training events all over the military. Happened to me at basic training. It happened at West Point. Happened in the military sometimes, although there are more options as you spend more time in the military. It's easier to avoid these situations. Now, I stood in many formations as well with leaders in front of me saying, there are no atheists in foxholes. I'm like, what? What's going on? And I served in Iraq. Dennis didn't mention it specifically, but just to be clear, 15 months, and it was really hot, 2 summers. Things blew up around me. It was kind of unpleasant, all right? I mean, one situation in particular, bombs going off all around me. It was kind of scary. I could die. And there were 2 others with me, huddled by a wall. There was a foxhole over there. It was really a bunker. But it was too far away, and we were not going to move. We were as safe as we could be. And we stood around, the 3 of us, 3 atheists, thinking to ourselves, okay, how can I be safer? Run over there or stay where we are? And it was stay where we are. That's what we decided. But the point wasn't, pray. It didn't even come to mind. The point was, how can I be safer? All right, okay, I got my stuff on, the hat. All right, the bombs are they're basically all around me, so I can't run in the opposite direction. So that's what happens, and it's pretty common, all right? Happens all the time. But nevertheless, no respect, no support. The military doesn't reach out to us. Moreover, suppresses us and tries to change our minds. This is the problem. We deserve that support. We need the support. Now, they aren't so passive each time, that as religion is pushed. Let me get this time. Now, they aren't so passive. In Iraq, a chaplain from my own area, in that same particular vicinity, said his purpose was to win souls for Jesus. His auxiliary secular duties, to provide morale support, counseling, suicide counseling, family support, to put others in touch with whatever their chosen religion was, maybe Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. Not important to him. That's his stated purpose. Not important to him. Because I was asking him about it, and he didn't figure I was going to tell anybody. I really couldn't do anything about it. It's not like he got thrown out. Win souls for Jesus. No, it's just one example, but it's not uncommon. A lot of chaplains told me that. In addition, a commander that I had, the company commander in the Army, can literally send me to jail. All right, just right to jail, because if I mouth off, disagree with him. This guy's handing out chick tracts. Now, in case nobody knows, chick tracts are little cartoons that are basically vile to anything that's not fundamentalist Christianity. All right, now I'm pretty sure that if there were any Christians in the room, they might agree with me that chick tracts are vile, horrible things. All right, but nonetheless, they were fundamentalist Christianity, and they were the company commander was handing these things out. A chick tract. Chick tract. So basically, the point is, he was handing out little cartoons that were totally discriminatory to anything that's not fundamentalist Christianity. And I was lower enlisted at the time. What am I going to say? You know, he can throw me. He can throw me in jail, take my money, do all sorts of things for insubordination. You know, and it's not that I didn't want to say anything. It was just kind of hard because he has so much power over what I do. And it's not uncommon. Now, technically, I will say that chick tracts are not legal in the military. But what am I to say? He did it for quite a long time before I left the unit, and nothing changed. Now, I'm not going to go into this too much. Where's the... There we go. Just trying to watch time here so I don't run us over too much. Now, Jeremy Hall. Has anybody heard of Jeremy Hall? Yeah. No. Thanks to the Military Religious Freedom Foundation for blowing that story up and supporting Jeremy. He's a hero. He has stood up. He's one example of somebody who had a meeting. He had a math meeting. He contacted the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers and said, I'm in Iraq. I'm stressed out. I'd like to meet with some people. Think you can help me out? And I said, yeah. I sent him some information, sent him, notified others in the area. He had a meeting. In this meeting, people showed up, and they were talking about atheist things. And then one of those people, a major, again a senior officer, started to dress him down for not being Christian enough. Said he was just insubordinate and a disgrace to the military because he was atheist. Yelling at him. And literally, he can't say anything back. Again, you get money taken. You get restricted. You go to jail. You can't say anything. Now, the others in the meeting fled. He had to stand there and take it. All right? And he's a hero for it. And he complained to me, in other organizations, we got him support. And in response for that, he was evacuated from the combat zone. Now, Iraqis, with the guns and the mortars, now they're dangerous, but not that dangerous. Fundamentalist Christians, angry that an atheist would dare to defy them, that's far too dangerous. He had to be evacuated. These things go on. He's back in the States now. Didn't get a promotion. And apparently, as a result of this, all right, and the lawsuit that was filed for the original event has had added to it now that denial of promotion, which is apparently continuing support. And he gets problems every day. And he's a hero for putting up with it and basically sacrificing his career, for others. So I commend him as well. Now, we're not about creating lawsuits. We're about creating community. I've said this a few times. We want to support those that are in the military because the military does not do it. The chaplains don't do it. Now, population on the MAF website, you can see a Population Reference Bureau, totally independent third-party study using Army demographics to identify 20% non-theists within the military. Now, I have to say that although the numbers are in disagreement, basically any poll will show you that non-theists outnumber Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, all put together. All of those organizations have chaplains. So when anybody says, hey, the chaplain's just playing to the majority, it's obviously not accurate. It's a difference between what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Atheism is considered not acceptable within the military by all actions that are taken. And all these other, and religion, vanilla prayer, things like that, are considered acceptable. This is the problem. And we need support. We need it to be acceptable to be atheists within the military and serve. Now, people just don't understand that within the civilian society, there's organizations like this. This is a great meeting. We're coming together, we're meeting, have a little bit of dinner later on, tabling, all sorts of things that Ken talked about earlier. And if you're not specifically interested in the atheists, they've got ethical societies, humanist societies, skeptics, rights, even secular Jewish societies. As far as I can tell, half atheists are Jews anyway. With this constellation of support, it still hasn't worked its way into the military. The chaplains have all these resources to put people in touch with organizations that share their core values, and they don't do it. They deny it. And that's something that's what I think is easy, a part of education, that we can do to seek them, to put them in touch with this information and see see who gets in touch with it and who doesn't. Now, again, these organizations, these supporting organizations, sometimes they're not community organizations. Sometimes they are advocacy. We talked a lot about the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. That's not an atheist organization. It's an interfaith organization, because separation of church and state and this support, this teamwork, and this team community within the military and diversity is an interfaith value. It's a value for everyone. It's really an American value. Now, in addition, we have organizations, again, like the ACLU, bringing, seeing that liberty is being infringed at the Naval Academy by these prayers and bringing the suit on our behalf. Also, we have the Secular Coalition for America. Secular Coalition for America is the premier lobbying organization for non-theists. Personally, I hold a seat on that board. And, I tell them, and they take these issues, these military proselytism issues, to Congress, to members of Congress. They have a lot of access. They're considered very professional and very supportive within D.C. They're doing a lot of support for us. And that's the kind of another organization that we can work through to change the things within the military.